Hello children, I am back here again with the second part of the chapter 9, that is matter. So before starting this second part of the chapter, let's recall what we have learned in the previous session. Yes, we have learned about the matter and some examples which shows that the things are made up of matter. So children, what is matter? Yes, anything that has mass and occupies space is called a matter. As you all know, the matter exists in the three states. Why children? Yes, due to the different arrangement of the molecules. Because of this only, the solid, liquid and gases show the different properties. And we have also learned about the pure substances that are elements and compounds, and the impure substance, that is mixtures, and their examples. So in the previous session children, I have asked you questions to find and write the answers. So have you find it? Yes, I am sure you all have found out. So what was the first one? Yes. What is the formula of compound sugar? As you all know, the sugar compound is made up of three elements. What are they children? Yes, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So 6 atoms of carbon, 6 atoms of oxygen and 12 atoms of hydrogen. They together join and form the compound sugar. That means the formula of sugar is C6H12O6. Now the second was, you have to find some examples of the compound. So here I have some examples of the compound which we see around us, like mouthwash, detergent, toothpaste, nail remover, vinegar, aspirin, etc. Here only I have given you some examples, but there are many compounds which we use in our daily life. Now children, tell me one thing. What happens when you leave an ice cube in open? Definitely your answer will be कि it melts, isn't it? That means solid changed into the liquid. Therefore, when any matter converts itself from one state of the matter to other is called change in the state of matter. Whether it is liquid into the gas or gas into the solid, etc. But children, the order in which these changes occur is, that means the process of the change of state is, when we heat the solid, it changes into the liquid. And when liquid is further heated, it changes into the gas. But opposite to that, gases changes into the liquid and liquid is further changes into the solid on cooling. That means matter changes its state either by the heating or by cooling. Now children, there is one question. Why this change in the state occurs? As children, I have explained you that the matter exists in the three states due to the arrangement of the molecule. So, how these molecules are changes in this state? To understand this, let's take a common example of the change of state, that is water. As you know children, water is only a natural substance which exists in all the three forms. What are that three forms? Yes, that is, solid form of water is ice, and water is itself is in the liquid form, and the gaseous form is known as steam or the water vapor. So children, to understand this interconversion of the state, let us take one activity. Now what we have to do, we have to take few ice cubes in a plate and keep it aside for few minutes. What happens, children? Yes, ice will melt into the water. Now children, how this solid ice change into the water? See, what happens when solid is heated? It receives the heat energy. As they receive the heat energy, the molecules begin to vibrate fast, thus loosening the bond between them. As a result, the force of attraction between the molecules start becoming weak and space between them gradually increases. As the temperature increases, these bonds become weakened further, and at a particular temperature they break apart and begin to flow like a liquid. So this way, children, the solid changes into the liquid, and this stage is called the melting. Temperature at which the substance melts from solid to liquid is called its melting point. So children, now what we have to do? You have to pour the water in the saucepan and heat it. And after few minutes, you shall find that the steam is rising up. This is the gaseous form of water called the steam or water vapor. How this change occurs? That means that the liquid changes into the gaseous form. Actually, children, what happens when the water, that means a liquid, is heated? They gain more amount of energy, and as they gain more amount of energy and the molecules start moving more vigorously, and the space between the molecules usually increases. Here children, what happens? The intermolecular force of attraction becomes too weak to hold the molecules together, so and result in the gaseous state. You must have seen when your mama is boiling the water at a particular temperature, when the liquid is heated, it forms the bubbles, as you can see in this picture. And what it is called, children? Yes, it is called the boiling, and the corresponding temperature is called the boiling point. This way, children, the liquid changes into the gaseous state. This process is called the evaporation, and the highest temperature a liquid can reach before turning into a gas is called its boiling point. Now children, remove the saucepan and cover with the lid. After few minutes, lift up the lid carefully and look underside it. What you will find? Yes, droplets of the water. Now how these droplets of water formed? So children, these droplets of water is formed when the water vapor come in the contact with the cold surface of the lid. It forms the droplets of water. Actually children, what happens when the gases are cooled down? They lose their energy. As a result, the molecules come closer to each other. As in the winter season, children, when there is very cold, you don't like to play or run here and there. Then what do you prefer? You prefer to sit under the blanket. Same way, when the gases are cooled down, they lose their energy. And the intermolecular force of attraction between these molecules increases and the gas results into the liquid. So children, what is this process is called? Yes, this process of converting the water vapor into the water is called the condensation. That means the gases converted into the liquid by the process of condensation. Now children, how this liquid converts into the solid? See, when you pour the water of this saucepan in the ice tray and keep this ice tray in the freezer, after few hours, what you will find that the water changes into the ice. That means the water, liquid form of water turns into the solid form of water, that is ice. How this happens? See, when the liquid is further cooled down, they lose more amount of energy and the molecules come more closer to each other, and they do not move around at all, because most substances contract and become smaller when they freeze. So the molecules get tightly packed. So this way, children, water has frozen back into the ice, which is the solid state. This way, children, water changes its form due to the change in the temperature. So I hope you all understood this change in the state of matter. So in this process of changing of the states, we have learned so many terms. So let's revise all these terms. First is melting, which is the change from solid to liquid. Freezing, the change of state from liquid to solid. Temperature at which ice changes to water is called melting point. Water changes to water vapor is called boiling point. And the process of changing of water into water vapor is called the evaporation, and changing of water vapor into water is called condensation. So I hope you all understood how and why the matter exists in the three states. Now children, when a substance dissolves in the liquid, what we get is called a solutions. Have you ever seen that something that we mix with the water get disappeared, while some things do not? Now children, why is this happen? This is because the things which disappear get dissolved in water, and things which do not disappear, they remain visible to us. So children, the things which dissolve in the water are called the soluble substances, and while the things which do not dissolve in water are called insoluble substances. So let's take one activity to understand this. Now what you have to do, you have to take half glass of water, salt. Now add tablespoon of salt in this half glass of water and stir it. After stirring it, what you will find that the salt dissolve in the water and it is no longer visible to us. And as a result, what we will get? Yes, we will get the salty water. So here children, the water in which the salt is mixed is called the solvent. The salt which dissolves in the liquid is called solute, and the salty water is called solution. So children, what do you understand by solvent, solute and solution? Yes, a substance that is soluble in the liquid. That means the substance which dissolves in a liquid is called a solute. What is solvent? A liquid in which a solute can be dissolved. That means any liquid in which a substance can be dissolved is called the solvent. And a mixture of solute and solvent is called the solution. That means the salty water we got was the solution. That means substances dissolved in the water forms the solution. So children, let's take some more examples to see whether the substances are soluble or not. For example, alum, sugar, mud, chalk powder, sand. So out of these substances, when alum and sugar is mixed with the water, then these substances dissolve in it. That means the alum and sugar are water soluble substances. Then the mud, chalk powder and sand, and when they mix with the water, they will not get disappear, they will remain visible to us. As in this picture you can see the stone and marble in the water are visible to us. That means mud, chalk powder, sand, stone, marbles, they do not dissolve in the water. So that means children, the substances which do not dissolve in the water, they settle down at the bottom of the container. So children, sugar, alum, salt, as they get dissolved in the water, so they are called the soluble substances. So the substances which dissolve in the water are called the soluble substances, and the substances like sand, mud, chalk powder, stone do not dissolve in the water are called insoluble substances. Now like solid, some liquids also dissolve in the water. For example, milk, lemon juice, vinegar, they all dissolve in the water. So those liquids that mix with each other are called miscible liquids. And what are the examples, children? Yes, vinegar, milk, lemon juice, they all dissolve in the water. And some liquids that do not mix with each other are called immiscible liquid. For example, oil and water. Let's take the example of mustard oil. You take mustard oil in a beaker and add some water to it. Mix the mixture well and allow it to stand for some time. Then children, after some time, what do you observe? You will observe that the mustard oil and water do not mix with each other and forms a separate layer, as you can see in this picture. See, mustard oil forms the upper layer and water forms the lower layer. So that's why we said the liquids which do not mix with each other are called immiscible liquid. Now children, like solids, liquid, can gases also dissolve in the water? Yes. Some gases can dissolve in the water, whereas others do not. Let's see the examples. For example, oxygen and carbon dioxide gas dissolves in the water. As you know that aquatic plants and animals use the oxygen gas dissolve in the water to survive, whereas aquatic plants use the carbon dioxide gas dissolve in water for the photosynthesis. But nitrogen gas does not dissolve in the water and it is said to be insoluble in water. Now children, as you have learned the change in the state of matter, children, in our daily life also many changes also take place around us. No matter where you are, what you are doing, things are changing around you. Whether it is growing of the plants, burning of a log, or even you are eating the food. Let's take some example. Growing of a baby into an adult, melting of butter, burning of paper, melting of wax, rusting of an iron nail. Now children, tell me one thing. Are these changes of the same kind? No. Some changes are permanent. That means some changes are forever and some changes are temporary. That means for the period of the time. So on the basis of their nature, The changes are divided into two types, physical change and chemical change. Now here we will study both types of changes one by one. So first is physical change. To understand this physical change, let's take some examples. Now children, if I ask you what you are observing in this picture, you will say that glass is broken in. Now children, what happens when a glass gets broken? As you can see, glass is broken into the several pieces. Here, each piece of glass is still glass even though the pieces of the glass are of different shapes and sizes. Similarly, let's take more example like cutting the paper. You cut a piece of paper, what you will get? The small pieces of paper is different shapes and sizes, but the small pieces of paper is still paper. Similarly, the breaking of toy. The toy is also broken into the different pieces, but that pieces are still the part of that toy. So what do you understand by all these examples? Yes, in all these examples, no new substances are formed. That means in all these changes, the substances do not change. Only the shape and sizes are changed. Now let's take more example to understand this physical change. And now see in this picture. Now water is cooled and is changed into the ice by the process of the freezing. And this ice change into the water on heating. Now similarly to this, let's take another example. As you can see in the picture, the solid wax on heating gives the liquid wax, and same liquid wax on cooling gives the solid wax. So these examples show that change is reversible. That means physical change is also called the reversible change because we get the original substance from the changed one. Now, so children, a change in which no new substance is formed is called a physical change. Now, the characteristics of the physical changes. Physical change is a temporary and reversible change. The size, shape or physical state of a substance may change. The properties and the composition of the substance remain the same. Now let's move further to the second type of change, that is chemical changes. These changes are opposite to the physical change. Let's see some examples. Now children, can this dry leaf be made fresh again? What will be your answer? Yes, definitely your answer will be no. Now let's see the other examples. Burning of the paper. Here in this example, when a piece of paper is burnt, it changes into ash. Now children, tell me one thing. From this ash, will you get this paper back? No. The molecules of paper are different from the molecules of ash because when the substances burn, they combine with the oxygen and new substances are produced. Similarly, children, burning of sugar. Once the sugar is burnt, you will not get the original sugar back. Similarly, the cooking of rice. Not only this, cooking of any food is a chemical change. It is because when the food is cooked, it is not possible to get back the raw food from the cooked food, which shows that this change is permanent change. So, in a chemical change, heating or cooling result in a permanent change in the state of matter. A new substance is formed and we cannot get back the old substance. So let's take more example like rotting of fruits, curdling of milk. That means we get the curd from the milk, isn't it? Is there any process through which we get this milk back? What will be your answer, children? Yes, I know your answer will be no. It is not possible to get the milk again from the curd. So these changes are the permanent changes. Now with all these examples, I hope you understood what are chemical changes. So what are chemical changes? Yes, a permanent irreversible change where the original substance cannot be obtained from the final product is called a chemical change. And the characteristics of chemical changes are: it is a permanent and irreversible change. It is a change where the properties and the composition of the new substance formed are different from the original one. New substance is formed. Children, there is one question for you. You have to find whether the water cycle is a physical change or a chemical change. So, leaving this question in your mind, I am going to conclude the session by giving you some homework. And what is your homework? Let's see. That is, classify following as a physical and a chemical change. Here, some changes are given. You have to classify it whether these changes are physical or chemical. So first is rusting of iron, melting of butter, boiling of water, burning of wood, cooking of food, digestion of the food, stretching of rubber band. So children, chapter is over. Learn all the question answers, exercises and read the chapter. Thank you.